people are talented, some people are dedicated to the sport, they're not consistent. Or I think the biggest factor is they're not confident in themselves, or they just ain't mentally prepared.
Mao Itauma lights the fire with a savage reality check that slices through the hype swirling around both Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois. Itauma doesn't mince words. To him, Usyk is nothing more than a slick illusionist, an elusive mover, a trickster who dances around danger but lacks the grit, bite and heavyweight heart of a true champion. He's unimpressed by Usyk's resume and dismisses his flashy footwork as smoke and mirrors.
He knows, and he's grown in confidence since that. I mean, he's in a great place, Dubois, and he can win that fight. He's a big natural heavyweight.
In Itauma's view, Usyk's victories are carefully orchestrated through movement and deception, not true championship mettle. But Itauma doesn't stop there. He turns his ruthless lens on Dubois with just as much venom, tearing into the heavyweight's reputation as a so-called knockout artist. According to Itauma, Dubois' raw power is little more than a thin disguise for a fragile mental state and a questionable ring IQ. He describes Dubois as mentally
good fighter. He's a hard fighter to beat, and I think he'll learn from the mistakes he made in the first fight against Usyk, and it will give him a hard fight. Look, he has the two.
Weak, emotionally brittle, and lacking the instincts needed to thrive at the elite level. His final verdict? Neither man is ready for the real war zone that is the upper echelon of heavyweight boxing. Both, he says, are overhyped and overprotected. Pretenders destined to fold under real pressure. On the flip side, trainer Mark Tibbs tells a completely different story, going all in on Dubois.
Oleksandr Usyk is the best fighter in boxing, period. Of this generation, what he's done at cruiserweight, what he's done at heavyweight, what he's done to all the other British fighters, to do the double over AJ.
Argues that Daniel Dubois has undergone a full-blown transformation. This, Tibbs insists, is not the same fighter who crumbled mentally against Joe Joyce or folded under Usyk's relentless pace in their first encounter. Tibbs compares the new Dubois to a young Mike Tyson, a dangerous, natural-born heavyweight wrecking ball who's matured both physically and mentally. According to Tibbs, Dubois now exudes confidence and carries the kind of explosive power that can end a fight in an instant. But there's a gamble in Tibbs' belief. His faith isn't rooted in refined technique or high-level boxing IQ. It's in size, aggression and raw emotion. He's betting that
confidence will be and time waits for no man, as the saying goes. I just think that this is a fight it's exciting. It's a good fight. You've got to make Usyk the favourite, but it's a fight that Daniel Dubois can definitely.
That brute force can break through Usyk's layered defense and calculated approach. It's a risky call when the man standing in the opposite corner is one of the most cerebral fighters in the sport. Because let's be honest, Usyk is not just any opponent. He's a grandmaster of boxing chess, a man who systematically dismantles his opponents not only physically, but mentally. Even if Dubois is in the best shape of his life, it's still an uphill battle.
You can't cope with that.
No one can. No one can. No one can. We'll bring our game. Like I said, Daniel has now spent, by the time this fight comes around, he would have spent 2 years.
Usyk's genius lies in his ability to manipulate timing, distance and rhythm with surgical precision. He doesn't need to overwhelm, he unravels. Amir Khan, meanwhile, joins the Dubois redemption parade, hyping him up as a mentally reborn force. Khan claims Dubois is tougher, stronger, and fueled by the bitter memory of his loss to Usyk.
Because let's be honest, Usyk is not just any opponent. He's a grandmaster of boxing chess. A man who systematically dismantles his opponents not only physically but mentally. Even if Dubois is in the best shape of his life, it's still an uphill battle. Usyk's
For Daniel Dubois to go down in British sporting folklore and to go and do the business.
Frank Warren doubles down on the belief that
genius lies in his ability to manipulate timing, distance, and rhythm with surgical precision. He doesn't need to overwhelm, he unravels. Amir Khan, meanwhile, joins the Dubois redemption parade, hyping him up as a mentally reborn force. Khan claims Dubois is tougher, stronger, and fueled by the bitter memory of his loss to Usyk. According to Khan, this is a version of Dubois that's ready to rewrite the narrative, to rise from the ashes and deliver the shock of the year. He calls Dubois a beast with vengeance in his eyes.
Individual because he's older and wiser, comes from a completely different background. But Daniel Dubois is growing into himself. This will be one hell of a fight. This will be a proper fight, like all of the...
But appealing as that storyline may be, the reality is far less romantic. Dubois isn't just fighting for redemption. He's going up against a generational phenomenon. Usyk is more than just a technician. He's a tactician who thrives under pressure and feeds on the stakes. Dubois' greatest weakness, his decision-making under fire, is the exact thing Usyk exploits with ruthless consistency. As Itauma bluntly warns, this isn't a comeback story. It's a setup. Usyk's timing, precision, and merciless strategy could turn this rematch into a public execution. Veteran commentator Adam Smith adds more.
It's a good time. I mean, a little bit of inactivity because of the fight falling through against Joseph Parker, but you know, it's exciting, and I think definitely a fight.
Fuel to the Usyk fire, calling him the unstoppable king of this generation. From his domination at cruiserweight to his systematic takedowns of heavyweight giants, Smith believes Usyk's rise has been historic. He emphasizes how Usyk clinically exposed and dismantled Anthony Joshua, not once, but twice. These weren't upsets, they were technical masterclasses. Smith believes July 19th could elevate Usyk to immortal status. If he beats Tyson Fury next, Smith says, there's no more debate. Usyk becomes the greatest fighter of this era. Full stop. Duke McKenzie echoes those sentiments. He calls Usyk a once-in-a-generation talent, a ghost haunting the heavyweight division.
Daniel Dubois against Oleksandr Usyk. Realistically, has he got any chance? We've got 30 seconds.
Of course he has. Look, it's a tough ask, of course. You know, the thing with Usyk is he doesn't depend on his power to knock you out. He depends on his skill. That's why it's a tough ask, because he's going to box rings around you if you let him. Dubois, good luck. Don Charles, good luck. Great British boxing, good luck. We potentially might have a heavyweight championship back.
While most heavyweights rely on brute force, Usyk crafts masterpieces, winning with strategy, precision, and an almost inhuman level of discipline. In Mackenzie's view, the rest of the division isn't just chasing Usyk, they're chasing a phantom. Carl Frosch tries to rally hope for Daniel Dubois, painting him as a reborn warrior primed to unleash chaos. Frosch talks up Dubois' new mindset and sharpened focus, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, he could pull off the unthinkable. But Frosch's tone reveals a deeper truth. Despite the optimism,
he's not going to start flipping tables and kicking off and this, that and the other. He's going to play a few little games and mind games and that. But aside from that, he
knows exactly how steep the mountain is. His praise feels more like a motivational speech than genuine conviction, a desperate attempt to inject belief into a scenario stacked against Dubois. Yes, Dubois has improved, but he's still walking into a chess match with a master technician who dismantles elite fighters with
showdown. It's an exercise in damage control. Don Charles, Dubois' trainer, explodes with passionate belief, boldly claiming that Usyk won't survive the version of Dubois stepping into the ring on July 19th. Charles describes 2 years of relentless training, insisting Dubois has
Dubois is, like I say, Daniel Dubois is a machine, and
evolved into a stronger, smarter, more dangerous fighter. But for every ounce of his fire, there's a harsh counterbalance. Usyk has faced stronger punchers, harder hitters, and supposedly more dangerous threats.
and time and again he's dismantled them all with icy precision. He doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, he studies, adapts, and breaks his opponents mentally and physically. Dubois might come charging in, but Usyk thrives in chaos. Charles can scream confidence from every rooftop, but Usyk's track record drowns out the noise. The real question isn't whether Dubois is ready, it's whether Usyk will even need to leave second gear. Frank Warren, Dubois' promoter, is betting everything on this fight. To him, July 19th is more than just a rematch. It's Dubois' golden ticket, a once-in-a-lifetime shot to rewrite his story. Warren frames this bout as a pivotal moment in British boxing history, a shot at legacy, redemption, and shaking the foundations of the sport. He insists Dubois has matured into a true heavyweight force, capable of greatness. But here's the brutal twist. Redemption has a price, and Usyk doesn't hand out second chances. The stakes couldn't be higher. Dubois must be flawless every second of every round, and even that might not be enough. Because when Usyk turns up the pressure, there's no margin for error. The real question lingers. Can Dubois withstand the storm Usyk's about to unleash, or will another dream be crushed beneath the weight of greatness? Simon Jordan throws fuel on the fire, calling this clash a potentially era-defining war. He praises Usyk's legendary resume and technical brilliance, how he's turned dismantling giants into an art form. But Jordan also spotlights Dubois, framing him as a juggernaut finally coming into his prime, physically sharper, mentally tougher, and poised to explode on the biggest stage. Dubois, according to Jordan, is more than just a contender. He's a threat. To Jordan, this fight isn't just another title defense. It's a powder keg. And if Dubois rises to the moment, it could eclipse anything Usyk's faced before. With heavyweight glory and history on the line, the narrative has shifted. This is no longer just about belts, it's about rewriting the future of the sport. Eddie Hearn offers a sprinkle of hope, but his tone tells the real story. He flirts with the idea of a Dubois upset, but his words drip with hesitation. Hearn sounds like a man preparing for the worst.
Mao Itauma lights the fire with a savage reality check that slices through the hype swirling around both Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois. Itauma doesn't mince words. To him, Usyk is nothing more than a slick illusionist, an elusive mover, a trickster who dances around danger but lacks the grit, bite, and heavyweight heart of a true champion. He's unimpressed by Usyk's resume and dismisses his flashy footwork as smoke and mirrors. In Itauma's view, Usyk's victories are carefully orchestrated through movement and deception, not true championship mettle. But Itauma doesn't stop there. He turns his ruthless lens on Dubois with just as much venom, tearing into the heavyweight's reputation as a so-called knockout artist. According to Itauma, Dubois' raw power is little more than a thin disguise for a fragile mental state and a questionable ring